This is the story of Valorant's unofficial but undisputed king of ping. A Russian player who, despite regularly suffering ping upwards of 150, is on the verge of fulfilling every Valorant player's wildest dream, making it as a pro. So how did he do it? And just how good can Emil Shine be when he's no longer shackled by such trivial issues as god-awful internet? Initially kickstarting his esports career in the perpetually dying CSGO, a series of controversies marred Emil's first foray into the pro scene. Ban hammers were dropped for alleged cheating offences, and most recently, though a while back now, he got himself booted from the scene for opening a Twitch stream of a tournament that he was playing in during a technical pause. But time heals all wounds, and while Gavin and his Counter-Strike flunkies cast him out, Emil has settled right into his new home of Valorant. He's played an almost stupid amount of games over the course of his climb to the upper echelons of the North American ladder, 781 rounds to be exact, over the course of 60 odd days. Now, Emil could have played it safe, playing on EMEA servers and probably climbing to the very top of his region just with his natural ability alone. But that was never going to be enough. Instead, Emil took a risk, deciding that his best shot at the big time was to sack off the already stacked EMEA scene entirely and aim his sights squarely across the Atlantic Ocean at the very top of the North American ladder. Now, as you can imagine, playing on servers based halfway around the world from you does tend to present its fair share of challenges. Climbing the ranks of North America from the comfort of his own home in Azerbaijan, Emil found himself taking on the best that North America had to offer, while also battling against an outrageous 150 ping, making it a complete nightmare to compete. Other players, yeah, I'm looking at you, get stuck running on the spot, teleport to the other end of the map while your weapon swings wildly one way to another as you desperately try to allow for the flailing internet connection to catch up. It's not exactly conducive to beating the world's best, but it's no problem for Emil. Other players would see him before he even got around the corner to peek at them thanks to the latency, so his reflexes didn't just have to be good, they had to be practically superhuman. I cannot undersell how ridiculous it is to try to climb a regional ladder while under that amount of internet-based stress. But thankfully for Emil, and all of us eager spectators, his router hasn't burst into flames yet, so he set about making a name for himself, climbing to a high of top 15 on the North American ranked ladder while taking his shots from 10,000 miles away. The W's kept piling in, ace after ace, racking up, and it only took him 3 months to do it. Frankly, it was impossible to ignore him any longer. Immortals, fresh from failing to qualify for the latest VCT Masters event in Berlin, were looking for a spark to reignite their season after a series of crushingly disappointing performances, and you can bet they found it in Emil, the cross-continental upstart who was tearing every player in North America apart. And since his unlikely arrival, Emil has not looked back. 24 matches, 5 losses, 19 wins, giving the Immortals an incredibly solid 80% win rate since Emil was welcomed into the fold. And if that wasn't all the proof you needed, digging a little deeper into the stats reveals an even clearer picture. Emil is an exceptional Killjoy main, playing the Sentinel in 92% of his matches over the last couple of months. So flexible he's not, but he doesn't need to be. Rocking a more conservative playstyle than most, the crowd control expert has honed a phenomenal game sense during his time lagging a few milliseconds behind his opponents, spotting enemy plays almost before they happen and reading the ebb and flow of the game as well as any pro in the world. But it's not just his positioning and godlike reads that make him stand out. After nearly 2 months with Immortals on a trial basis, Emil's kill-death ratio is sitting at a solid 0.94, which for a disruptor like Killjoy is pretty decent, if not spectacular. But again, remember that he isn't even playing in the region he's competing in. The fact he's even touching the top half in terms of kill-death ratio is frankly ridiculous. That score puts him above other quality Killjoy users like Ascend's Kyles, who helped his side to a top 8 finish at the VCT Masters in Berlin, and Envy's FNS, who ended runners-up at the biggest Valorant comp of the year so far. Immortals didn't even qualify for that tournament, remember, so Emil clearly has the ability, and maybe even more importantly the consistency, to mix it with the best Killjoy players on the scene if given the chance to shine. Get him physically to NA and there's no telling the carnage he could cause with minimal ping at his fingertips. fingertips. Emil at a LAN event? That's a terrifying prospect. And his ability shouldn't just keep NA players up at night either. The world should be shaking in its boots if Emil comes out to play at the next VCT LAN. A controversial past has already put Emil's esports career in danger once back in his CSGO days, and he still has some work to do to convince everyone that he's back on the straight and narrow. The flawed genius is a tired cliche, it's true, but Emil has the talent to take his game to the very top, and fans will have their fingers crossed that he'll still be there for Immortals' next push for the VCT and beyond. The fact is, the stats from his Immortals matches paint a picture it's actually pretty hard to argue against. And the org has made it clear that this is a player who has earned their second chance at the big time. He's climbed his way back to the top of the big leagues, and now Emil has to prove that he deserves to stay there.